Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gift of Healing TV. It actually happens to be our 100th program of today's conversation. And sadly, David isn't with us because he's got a problem with an internet connection. And I know he so wanted to be here. If for any reason he pops up during, great. But it doesn't look as if he's going to be able to join us. So I'm really disappointed about that. And I know he is. But otherwise, I'm going to say hi to Scott. Scott, thank you for joining me again.
Hey. Hello, Miss Sara. And how are you today?
I'm well. You keep him well.
We are. And I have the great opportunity to introduce a very good friend of mine. Bradford Tilden is otherwise known as the Shirtless Shaman. He is a gifted healer. He is a gifted teacher. He is an amazing sound healer. I've witnessed any number of his concertos with singing crystal bowls with his voice. He's classically trained. He is absolutely wonderful. And if you have questions, any of you who are listening have questions about anything, the divine, the galactic, or anything in between, he is one of those people that you can reach out to. He usually has the answer. And I give you Bradford Tilden. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. What a wonderful, warm welcome. I can say most of the same for you. Had the opportunity of being your roommate for 2 weeks in Peru, and you are an amazing being of love and light, and the energy that you emit it's transformational. Your presence itself is healing, and I know you know that. And it's a real honor to be invited on here and to meet Sara, and we were chatting a little before we went online, and I really feel like I'm in the right place. Really feel very excited to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you join us. Thank you so much, Bradford, especially when it comes to sound energy, and you know my love of that.
Yes.
So let's start off by, what is it that you do in your practice?
I do many things, but all of these things are with the focus of reminding people that they are love and light, and to bring joy into their lives, to inspire them, and to help them heal themselves and release the traumas, the conditions, all of that, what separates or interferes with their authentic connection to source, and anything in the way of expressing that. I'm very much about embodying authenticity and highlighting and amplifying the uniqueness that each person brings.
I've been a witness to that, and he does indeed do that in with large groups also. So you have, I was blown away by everything that you carry with you, even all the way to Peru. He had a suitcase for just his crystals, for just all of his tools. It was absolutely amazing to watch him just kind of bring them everywhere. The sound bowl, the drum, the crystals that he's brought. Can you talk about the crystals and what they mean and how you use them?
Yes. The Lemurian Seed Crystals specifically are what you're referring to. I have developed a very conscious, close relationship with Lemurian Seed Crystals over the past 20 years. And I have been guided to help in reactivating and reassembling the crystalline consciousness grid around the planet. And the Lemurian Seed Crystals, many of them are volunteering to be points, to be centers, nodes on this grid. And I'm guided to select certain ones that volunteer. And in this example in Peru, most recently, And I know exactly where, when, and how to place the crystals there so they can actively contribute to raising the consciousness of humanity by amplifying the energies in the sacred spaces that they find themselves in. Or sometimes it's just in a forest or in a lake or anywhere else. Oftentimes I have friends that are traveling, and I asked them if they would be willing to place a Lemurian seed crystal somewhere. And through this, I have successfully planted one at the magnetic North Pole. And so every time and that's just, I'm still working on Antarctica. I was gifted a stone from an ancient seabed from there, and, but that's not quite the same. And when every time I do the meditations or I work with them, a lot of people do meditations about the earth and see the light, the healing light around the planet, around the globe, around Gaia. And there's a dimension of that as the Lemurian seed crystals. And if I just have one, or even the idea of one, and I put energy into that, the whole grid lights up, and it just spreads, and a pulse of that high vibrational activation and awakening energy that the Lemurian seed crystals are known to contain. So so I can go on and on and on, but that's a good introduction.
The question I had is, what is the difference between what regular crystals that you'd buy at any crystal shop and a Lemurian crystal, seed crystal?
Yes, great question. Lemurians are a type of quartz, and on the onset, they look like quartz. Like I've got one right here. And on further examination, you'll begin to see specific physical characteristics that set these crystals apart from others. Now, I showed you this one, but I also this one has a bit more of the hallmark characteristics of a Lemurian. So a little bit of history here. The first major deposit of Lemurian seed crystals was discovered in the Diamantine mine in the central region of Brazil called Minas Gerais, and they attracted the interest of the world's crystal healers because, one thing, they were growing out of sand, not solid rock, which most crystals, all other crystals actually grow from, but these were actually growing in sand. And well, man, I don't have any of those here to show you, unfortunately, but you'll have to reach out to me afterwards if you want to see one. But I do own a few of those original first mine Lemurians. But most of the other ones, they have these physical striations on their sides, which through 2 weeks of meditating, there was a summit in Hawaii, and through 2 weeks of meditation, the world's crystal healing leaders contacted the ancient Lemurian master guides, or the priest healers in the higher dimensions, and they basically declared the purpose of Lemurian seed crystals for humanity. And that purpose is to accelerate awakening, and to accelerate awakening by activating the stored information in a person's DNA of their lifetimes of mastery. So most people that incarnate at this time, I believe, have a very clear chosen purpose or contribution to give to the collective. And we can go into the specifics of that, but part of the joy of living and seeking is connecting with and unearthing that potential, or that calling, that gift, that knack, that thing that gives you the most joy. It's usually that. So ask yourself, what gives you the most joy? That's probably the medicine that you chose to carry. Lemurians, they have this, they're encoded with vibration that helps the DNA to open and release that stored information, so you can consciously connect with it through any number of means that you receive information. So these striations look like artificially carved laser beams, stunningly accurate. This is a pretty old one I've had for a long time. This is also a very interesting golden healer creator crystal. The golden healer deposits hadn't been discovered yet. This one's got a lot of information, features. I could sell an entire class on this particular crystal alone. It's one of the first ones I've acquired. But so anyway, the striations, so you can see right there in the light, right? They're tactile, and they look like barcodes, and you can rub them, and that's the easiest way to receive the sympathetic resonance that unlocks stored knowledge within you. Lemurians love to be held and pet. They have a consciousness about them that traditional quartz does not. I personally believe that Lemurians are actually ensouled with an individual consciousness, which other crystals may or may not. Most other crystals, like this one I was talking with Sara, this is a traditional quartz, but it just so happens that Archangel Uriel likes to use this one as an anchor to communicate through the dimensional divide into the third dimension. So most quartz are B&Bs, if you will. They're little hotels or access points, right? Because of the high vibrational, multidimensional quality of them. But Lemurians, they have a life purpose. They have a will of their own. And they're very dynamic to work with, and they're very easy to work with. All you really need is to have one in your presence. So I hope that somewhat answers your question as to how they differentiate from traditional quartz.
I'd like to sort of go. Obviously, the topic of this is unearthing your greatness within, and obviously aspects of that is about learning to listen to yourself and learning to listen to the guidance. But you talking about placing these Lemurian crystals, and I was with a group that my own Reiki master. There was a group of us together, and I suddenly said, "We need to go to Old Sarum," and that's just outside Salisbury, not far from Stonehenge. And it was the original site of the cathedral that is now in Salisbury. But it's an old settlement. And it's almost a circular walled settlement. And I said, we need to go there. And we were very much working with the sound, so working with the voice. But even at that stage, I remembered I just felt drawn to take a small crystal. I can't even remember what the crystal was. And we started by going to the central well in the place. And there were 6 of us. 5 of us were all Reiki. And the 5th person was actually John's wife. So one of them's wife. And so we all stood around the well, and we actually brought the sound. It was a bitterly cold February day. We brought the sound, and then we moved out, and we were still inside the wall, but we were then spread, and we did the sound again. Then we all came back together, and I put my hands on one of the walls, and I said, "This wall's warm." And they all looked at me and said, "You're crazy." We all put our hands on the wall. That wall was warm, which was amazing. We then went outside, but what we did before we'd finished, we all held the crystal. Before we went outside, we'd all held the crystal, and we dropped the crystal into the well. We then went outside the wall, so we couldn't see each other then, and we all again brought the sound, the toning, and we all came back together. We then went into the footprint of the old cathedral, because the actual footprint was still there. And we actually stood like a cross, 5 of us, with dawn almost standing off as an anchor. I'd taken my little Tibetan singing bowl, and it was like, "No, Sarah, you're not meant to have that." One of the other guys took it and just used it like a little gong. And again, we closed our eyes and we toned to the area. And with our eyes closed, it was almost as if the sun came out, but it didn't. There was an amazing light but the sun didn't come out. And a friend of mine who used to drive past that regularly said the energies always felt really horrible. After we'd done what we'd done, she said the energies had totally changed. We also took, and on a different day, we also took the sound up to Stonehenge, and around what's called the heel stone. And what's happened with the heel stone is the pathway they've made around it, around the henge, the heel stone's been blocked off with the path. And so as much as we couldn't create a full circle around it. Again, we brought the sound to the heel stone, bringing it back in to the rest. This is what crystal energy, sound energy, vibrational energy can do. It can help to transform. And our greatness within is that ability, to me, of being able to listen to that guidance of, is there somewhere we can go that is requiring us, whether we can physically go or not. So where the dragons that guard over the Earth's crystals are concerned, a suggestion temporarily for the Antarctic, for the South Pole, is ask the dragons to place a crystal there. And I'm sure they will do that for you. We don't, it's lovely to have a physical person do it, but the dragons will place the purest energy crystal at that point. So there is a thought for you. But so, yes. And so, Scott, also, your thoughts about this greatness within and tapping into it. And then we'll come back to you if you don't mind, Bradford.
Thank you. We just got back, Bradford and I just got back from Peru a couple of weeks ago. And, excuse me, and it was, for me, transformative and life-changing in the depth of energy that we felt when we went to Machu Picchu. I felt like I was on one of those, the beds you put the quarters in, and it just vibrates, My entire body was vibrating the entire time. We went up there in the afternoon until dark. Then we went down and we came back the next morning, 4:30 in the morning. That was always fun to get there when the sun came up in Machu Picchu. And the vibration of that place, I understand why people go now. I didn't understand it before fully, but the vibration, the energy that is in there, and why the Incas had built there was because of this incredible energy in it. That greatness within. We had the pleasure of having Jorge, his last name. I have 3 of his books. Oh, where is it? Oh, yes. Jorge Delgado, Luis Delgado. He is a shaman. He was our guide. He was extraordinary in bringing us to places that, for most part, our group of 20 were the only tourists. You go to Machu Picchu and there are thousands, tens of thousands of people that go there every day. We went to off sites, huge sites, Inca sites. And we were able to explore. We were able to get the understanding in depth of the Inca traditions, of what they did, why they did it, how they did it. And it really hit home, all of it. They talk about Father, Son, Mother Earth, always bringing the sun into. The sun brings love. The sun brings light. And in that aspect, I found myself, and little did I realize, the hummingbird. And now where I live, hummingbirds are about this big. They're these just little pesky little birds. Well, in Peru, there was happened to be black hummingbirds that were this big. there. They were amazing. And they are said to be the messengers of light that bring light from above. And the reason I talk about all these things is because it opened me up to understanding. The breakthroughs that I've had personally since I've come back, and it's taken a long time to, as we've gotten back here, to be able to adjust, readjust, reacclimate, because things aren't the same anymore. When you travel for 2 weeks with a group of really high vibrational people, as you know, when you do those, you are in such a high. You come back to your regular life, and it's like, whew, it's like an elevator going down. And to be able to maintain that type of vibration is really, really tough. But the memory of it brings it back. When you don't see the sun, the memory of the sun, you can see it, you can feel it, you can use it. And this is how, for me, I am told by my guides, for me to proceed. It brought me to Malaysia, Singapore. It brought me to India, to Peru. I had no intention of going any of there. So trust me, they were not, I wanted to go Hawaii, Bali, I wanted to go to the fun places. And I was really pushed by my guides to go there because that's where I would take the biggest steps in becoming that much clearer, that much more grounded, having a better understanding, and also understanding what I am here to give the world. And one of the things that came up was I always take pictures when I travel, but I don't take them with me in it. I take pictures of mountains. I take pictures of the lakes. And in doing the work that we do, you have to be kind of out there. You have to have people see you and know who you are. And I realized that I needed to get into those pictures. I needed to be in those pictures now so that people could see me, to be able to connect with me. For me, that's very tough. I've always been a person of service. I've always been a person who's never needed accolades. I don't need anything. I do things because it's what I'm meant to do. So being in front has always been very, very hard for me. But I'll tell you what, I'm just going to get in the picture from now on. And that's the only way I can see that I can add to the world. Bradford and you, Sara, are working to raise the elevation of the entire world each and every day. And what I found for mine is that I'm meant to hold space so that people can do that. And that is my gift. And so the greatness is coming out in knowing fully who I am and what I can do and how I can be of service to all of mankind. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Bradford.
That was beautifully said, very well articulated. And that is a beautiful example of your process, of your unearthing, as it were, of your greatness. And it's always a process, right? This is your current understanding of your, I like the word expression, right? The divine expression through us. And that's really, everyone has their own unique process. And perhaps that's why I'm so interested in so many different, I'd say, modalities or methods or resources or tools to provide, to give people the inspiration, the nudge in that direction, just so that they can forge their own path or be a resource for them on their path. As I had people in situations when I was, at a stage where I was in the acute seeker syndrome, where I really didn't know what I wanted, what my, I knew that I was a talented musician and a massage therapist, but I knew there was more. And sure enough, through people directing me, giving me things, dropping breadcrumbs, that I had the intuitive courage to follow, to take these risks, to put myself out there, to be guided to that initial awakening that connected me with universal white time gemstone healing. That for me, this was my process, was removing a blockage that released the information that was already within me. And then the Lemurian seed crystals came right around that same time, when I discovered the healing power of my voice, when I discovered the healing power of crystals and this extraterrestrial based modality to help accelerate our growth. And then the Lemurians, which further opened me up to be able to listen, as you say, Sara, and act with confidence. In Peru, for me, it was a great confirmation, and it was a stepping into what I already knew to be true, but still had doubts and reservations. My particular history, it turns out now I have, I've got evidence that that's undeniable, that I was indeed like one of the main Lemurian priest healers involved with the campaign to create these crystals that we're using at this time. And what I received was the strength and the confidence to accept that responsibility, that inherited responsibility, and really assimilate and integrate it and understand with confidence how I can help others reach that same level of their individual awakening. And for me, that's really what the greatness within is. I had no idea I had this in me until it was opened up within me. And I believe that everyone has these seeds of knowledge, and sometimes the seeds grow slowly. Other times they just explode open with all of that. And I think that is actually, I believe we have a say in how our opening and our awakening unfolds. I've noticed there's sort of like time delayed or time timed, if that makes sense, timed moments or opportunities to awaken for people. Some people need that huge acceleration right off the bat. I did, otherwise I would have lost interest and overlooked it. I needed that wow. Other people, it's this long process of slowly building and building and building and stopping and reflecting upon what they've achieved. I mean, everyone has their own way, but I fully believe we all have these gifts, this knowledge within us that far surpasses what we think we even know. The doorway to our infinite, eternal soul, again, mastery is available to us now, because these are the keys that are going to get the collective to shift and to embrace the new earth and embody and manifest it in whatever way. And this is the crazy thing, whatever way you believe the new earth can possibly manifest, it may very well manifest for you, because that's the level of creator-like mastery we're all moving towards, is creating our own realities and shared realities. And that gets a little down the wormhole of quantum manifestation, but I'll just bring it back. But crystals, Lemurian seed crystals, are physical manifestations of the awakening, of the awakening potential, and evidence of a very long, I wouldn't say, my guides are saying, calculated strategy to provide us with yet another magnificent tool for conscious awakening. And that's what these crystals are for. And it was an honor to be part of that project back then, and an even greater one right now. And just to share the joy and the passion that I and the Lemurians have you can receive the benefit just by looking at a picture of a Lemurian. So I'm just going to hold this here while we continue the conversation. And any listeners, this is a beautiful one. I said it as a creator. It's a creator, golden healer creator. Another one here. So if anyone watching has any reservations about or fears about stepping out of who they think they are and embracing who they truly are, allow the Lemurians to fill you with love and excitement for the discovery. So,
I'm getting the sense, and it's just it's too strong to ignore it, to do a tone.
Oh yes.
I was going to ask, and I knew this session was not going to go anywhere without some sound being involved.
So if I may, please, all I would suggest to anybody is please ground, roots down into Mother Earth, deep into Mother Earth, anchoring into Mother Earth. Her love, her energy, her protection is coming up through your roots, into your feet, up into your legs, your whole body, totally surrounding and protecting you. It isn't about what you hear, it is about what you feel. When you're ready.
Beautiful, Sara. All my guides popped in behind me and they were just really, really, really loving that.
One of the things I was going to say was that, and I just knew I had to do that, so and I hope people really enjoyed that and felt it. I'm not somebody who hears things or sees things. I'm one of these people who has a great sense of knowing, and I just know things. When it came to working with obviously being a Reiki practitioner, master, teacher, I channel the energy of Reiki. That sound was not me. That sound is channeled sound. They just use my voice. But when it came to working with the mythical beings and the dragons, it came to me, oh, what happens if one of these appears in a meditation or a dream or whatever? What is the message? And I was hunting high and low to see if I could find the answer to that. And I was in my car one day, and as I said, I don't hear voices, but the words were in my head. You're doing it. It was just, okay, fine, thank you. I had to sit with pen and paper and just see what came. I'm now allowed to sit in front of a video camera and sort of record it. Then I've got to transcribe it. But, as it just comes. Mm-hmm. what I would sort of, really, the reason for sharing that is just to say to those that listen to this, it's you are unique. Your process, how it happens when it comes to you, is going to be unique to you. You don't have to be somebody that has a conversation with your guides and guardians in your head or out loud and literally hearing what they're saying. You don't have to be able to see. You can be in that place of trust, because that's what I have to do. I have to be in that place of trust. And it's having that confidence to open to trusting. And it's accepting the fact that I'm one big blooming channel. I just have to accept that because of the Reiki, because of the sound, because of the mythical beings and the dragons. And then just that sense that it was so right to do that. There were energies that chose to come through and bring that, and accepting that. What I would say to everyone is ask to work with the highest energies that wish to work with you, so that you are keeping your vibration high, and your vibration can only get higher and work with higher energies. Hold that energy, hold that intention, and that will be honored for you.
Wow. I'm still kind of reeling from the sound. That's actually tremendous. I have to say that I have the utmost respect, Sara, for the number of times that I've heard you through sound, light language, as well as toning. And it's one of those things that is hard to put into words, but is understood. And when you say knowing, that is myself. I don't necessarily carry on a conversation. Sometimes I just get cold, like you said. You're doing this. And other times it just comes as, oh, I've always known that. It's been here all along, and I knew it. It just didn't have an opportunity to come out. I had the opportunity to witness Bradford in any number of places as he did his toning in sacred sites, on top of mountains, on the lake, in Machu Picchu, at probably 24 places that I couldn't even remember the names of, and he every time we did ceremony, and there were 20 of us, so it took a relatively long time in order to do the ritual with each and every person. He was that backbone. He was that lending his the tone, the music, the sound, to almost make it that much more sacred, each of the rituals that was done. And you're not going to get out of today, by the way, without toning a little bit yourself, because I know your bowl is standing right next to you.
You know,
you did not, did you?
I have a bowl here. I know you do.
I know you do.
I don't need the bowl.
No, you don't.
But if you want the bowl, sometimes the bowl interferes with the
toning
microphone.
It's
I always have a bowl with a sarong. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, that was the first time I had the opportunity to co-facilitate, like you said, individual rituals in a prolonged ceremony, and of a one-on-one basis. Usually I do group sound healings, and it's the sound is a response to the collective energy. But working with individuals, in private session it happens, but for that prolonged period of time, it was like I was creating a soundtrack, which was individually catered to each person while they were receiving the ritual. And just with, as both of you, it's a knowingness, but in a sense, it's not hearing words, it's hearing tones, it's hearing the structure, it's hearing the timbre, it's hearing the shape of the frequency that is required. That is just, it's, you know, and I believe probably all composers have that ability, and, you know, they work with the medium that they have at the time, whether it's the symphony, the violin, the piano, the cello, or the voice and bowl, right? It's I would love to share a little bit. So we can also just take a few breaths, really feel your body supported, however you're sitting, lying, standing, driving, whatever it is. Allow the earth's energy to rise up, supporting you as you allow your grounding energy to flow down through your feet and down into the earth. You really feel as if she is embracing you, hugging you, holding you.
That was very powerful. Thank you. Thank you. And it is a gift. And I have so much respect for someone, both of you, who can maintain the level of of sound for as long as you do, for as beautifully as you do, with the resonance that you have. For me, that is just such a gift. And I want to say thank you. So the other part of all this was sound. And for those of you who have never been to a sound bath or have never been involved with any of the sound, I encourage you to try it. It is, no matter where you are, there's someone around you that does sound healing. It is something that goes beyond words. It brings it right into you. It bypasses a lot of the thoughts. It goes directly into your body. It goes directly into your soul self. And I would encourage you to do that. And it's also one of those aspects that allows different parts of you to come up. We talked, Sara asked the question and Bradford asked the question, how do we bring the best of ourselves out? That's how we do it. Try different modalities, try different ways to do that. We all express ourselves in different ways, right? Some people like to paint, some people like to write, some people like to sing, some people like to dance. However it is that you express yourself best. The one thing that I miss, by the way, is every day when we were in Peru, we had dance. We danced every morning. When we got together, the first thing we did was we had 2 songs and we just danced. I have yet to start my day off with dancing like that, but I really want to get back into it. It just starts your whole day with a smile. It starts with joy. It starts with just that, it's so wonderful to be alive. And that enthusiasm, that enjoyment, and that sense of childhood joy that some of us had, some of us didn't have. But to bringing that back to what makes us feel that way, that's amazing. Bradford, you do white light. Could you explain what that particular modality is?
Yes, thank you. I missed the dancing too, actually. Maybe we should do a morning call. So it's actually called white time healing. Yeah, a lot of people get it confused. It's named white time because it contains all time in one unit. Just like white, the color white has all colors, and white noise has all sound frequencies. So white time uses time as one unit, and so it exists outside of time as we consider it or as we perceive it linearly. And it's so much more than that. It is, one way I describe it to the layperson is that it's like cosmic Reiki, in a sense that, as far as I can tell, all of the higher beings in the universe know and understand white time healing. It exists differently on different planets and in the universe, and it was calibrated for humans to learn and utilize for our needs here on Earth. But it is of an origin that comes from outside of this universe. And it does use a little bit of Earth's energy, but primarily we're dealing with, as you say, work with the highest energies available. White time healing literally is the highest energies available in this universe. And there's actually even higher energies from outside of this universe that are this whole body of knowledge that I've also started studying called the boards of knowledge. I'm not a teacher of those yet, so I can't really disseminate that the way I can disseminate white time and white time energy and white time gemstone healing. But one of the important features are the initiations. In the energy healing level 1 class, you end up receiving tremendous protections against physical and non-physical negativity. Because the highest spiritual beings in this universe are basically the alliance of light. You know, we talk on Earth a lot about galactics and galactic consciousness and galactic beings, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, our neighbors over there in Andromeda. But this is the universe. This is the central sun of the universe. And the beings and the planets and the temples and the councils that preside over the entire universal alliance of light. And that's where white time comes from. And that's the level of the intensity that you can develop, because every time you use your white time powers, they increase. There's absolutely no limit to how much you can achieve as a healer. And in the gemstone classes, the first initiation, I can't say the exact words, but it opens something in your consciousness that was closed, so that you can have a direct relationship to crystal and consciousness. And you're also assigned 3 master guides for life who are gemstone masters in the universe. And so when I ask a question, I get it, the answer right there, anything having to do with crystals. And my guides, my gemstone guides, were the ones who helped me to unlock the knowledge of Lemurians and my connection with that, which was outside of the curriculum of the white time gemstone classes. Because at the core of both the energy healing and the gemstone healing, it's about, again, bringing out your unique greatness. The classes teach you a structure, but they encourage you to integrate that and allow it to augment everything else you've already developed and everything you will. They're looking for unique individuals that want to just take their individual expression to that next level. And there's never, ever any, you can't, if you do this, you can't do that language. There's nothing like that. White time completely, it can completely blend with anything. There's no right way to do it. It's about how you develop it yourself. And that's a very wonderful thing. You know, a lot of systems, they say, well, because you're doing this, you can't do that. Or, you know, you've done this now, so you don't have to do that. You know, white time is just like the icing on the cake. And also the cherry and the sprinkles and the whipped cream and the gummy bears and whatever else you want to put on it. So and I'm honored and privileged to be one of the main teachers of the gemstone healing. There's a lot more advanced energy healing teachers than me, but my mission has and always will be promoting the gemstone education in those classes. And I always look at it like this, you know, people marvel at the wisdom of the tree that's been around 400 or 500, maybe 1,000 years. You know, how old is this? And what's the wisdom within the earth, within the oldest form of consciousness, and how far that can bring you back? And even from other planets, you know, a lot of minerals, tektites that are a fusion of the earth and some extraterrestrial matter, right? That you can directly connect with lifetimes and existences on other planets through the crystalline consciousness. It's just extraordinary. So that's a little bit about white time. As you can see, I'm very passionate about it, and I love to teach it because, you know, my elevator pitches, I love planting seeds and creating ripples and to bring the greatness out in people. So the best way for me is to serve other people, is to give them the knowledge, to teach them to fish, so to speak. And I'm thrilled for anyone who's interested in learning and becoming a white time healer. Please reach out to me. Yeah, thank you, Sara.
And I will put your website here. I think for the most important thing for everything is just our intention. What intention are we putting behind things? Because the purer our intention, the more encompassing pure intention, I think the greater it will be for the planet. And where sound and vibration are concerned, I put it very simply for people who are thinking, I'm not sure about this sound thing. And it was put this way very simply. Our aches, pains, illnesses, and ailments are our vibration out of sync. The energy, the vibration of the right sound can literally bring your vibration back into sync. Mm-hmm. I've had bones move under my hands. Mm. I've had people with migraines starting that have stopped. Aches and pains in necks and shoulders go, knees, hips, sort of. physically, internally, I'm blocking a blockage in it, but it's not me that's done this. Mm-hmm. My intention is always for the highest good of the individual, whatever that might be. It stay detached from the outcome for each individual, because it is their journey. And as much as we may wish something for somebody, if that is not part of their journey, it's not going to happen. And one of the other things was with some of the techniques that I've learned, it's just like, whatever you may feel it is that you require, what is your priority, what is up here for you, and the things that are lower down that list. Sometimes actually the priority is to something lower down the list, because that actually can take care of what you think is at the top of your list. But if you don't work at the right levels, we talk about the layers of the onion in healing. And it is so important that it is done one layer at a time. And do we start back with the inner child, or do we start with the person of today? And I think there's aspects of both. And I think that's the important thing. We were talking earlier about sort of the play. Our child is still right there inside of us, and our child still loves to play. You know, kick the autumn leaves around, jump in a muddy puddle, you know, sort of go to the beach and have a paddle. We're still a child. What's the saying? You don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. Our child has a greater connection with what we're trying to connect with than we do. The more we connect with that innocent child within us, the more we can open up to the possibilities that our child, because the child, especially the really young child, there were no boundaries. Everything was possible until they thought they were told it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so our greatness is within. It absolutely is. And that greatness isn't about being greater than anybody else. It is about that greatness of who you are and each and everybody is. So we're coming close to end of time. So sort of, I don't know which one of you wants to go first. I think I've said my piece.
Bradford, how would you like to, anything that you haven't been able to communicate or?
Yeah, the two things, and this goes back to the beginning. As soon as you talked about the dragons and Antarctica, they showed me a crystal that they placed there, and it's a rare occasion when I'm actually seeing something. It was an image, but the image is emblazoned on my memory, and so thank you for that. So there now is a beautiful, very big crystal in Antarctica that they're showing me. Is like kind of like helping everything, and thank you for that reminder. And the other is that with all this wonderful talk about sound and then the healing of the body and the cells and the tissues and everything, the crystals do the same thing. They provide frequencies as well. The crystals actually reach down into the atomic and the subatomic. So whereas sound influences the cellular and the molecular, when you combine the crystals and the sound, which is why crystal bowls are amazing, because you got them both right there. And then the white time gemstone modality and other modalities where you place stones on the body and then engage in sound, you're reaching all the levels. And that is real wonderful transformation. And I must agree with you about the intention and the individual's highest good. These are just, it's a very simple intention to have, but it's a very powerful one. And it allows you to step out of the way and let the universe and all of the greater divine intelligence work through you to give to the individual or the group what they need. And it's their job to accept what's being offered. Sometimes people aren't ready to heal. And so I actually, one of my students taught me this, to have someone verbally say that they're ready and willing to accept any and all healing available to them at that time, to commit the person to their own healing and take responsibility for it. Because as you say, we can hope and aspire, but if it's not in the person's path, it's not going to happen. So, yeah.
And with intention, we do everything. And it is my intention to wish Sara a very happy 100th episode. This was phenomenal. For those of you who don't know, she puts an amazing amount of energy and time into putting these programs together. They don't just happen. There is a lot of work that goes into it. There is an awful lot that she does that goes unnoticed by most. But in watching her over the last year, I've had that just gift of her presence in everything that I do now. It is an honor, and I want to say thank you. And for those of you who are watching, I hope you enjoy the gifts that she gives on a weekly basis.
Thank you, Scott. Please, folks, if you're watching live, we've put Bradford's website address in the chat there. For those of you that are watching the video on YouTube, you will find Bradford's and both of ours there as well. And as David does sound too, I am sure he is gutted he isn't here for this. But, you know, sort of we'll put David's as well. So please, if you feel drawn to connect with any of us, do. You know, we're here to bring this energy. If you've got a question, you can connect through, I'm sure, each of one of us through our websites. Please do. It's really important for all of us, that connection. It really is. So thank you, Bradford. Thank you to you, Scott. Next week, I am joined for Coming Home to Your Divine Self and Live in Inner Peace with Radhavi Riom. So we're going to be sort of doing that sharing that next week. Take care, be safe, stay well. Love, peace, and light to you all. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.